Good day, it's George Lees again. That is an image that you've just seen there of the city of Newcastle from the top of my new safe house, looking down on the police, who have been heavily armed since last week. Every night in this innocent little town. It's actually quite a big town, and that castle just above the post office sign that you can see there is the Old Castle, which is the naming of Newcastle. And it is a massive joke, because that is also the Archelaus PISO joke, and I'll explain that later on. And I'm going to explain to you how Paul McCartney is a treasonous New World Order person who condones the making of the Mull of Kintyre music 10 years before they crashed the helicopter on the Mull of Kintyre. And he has a massive residence near Hexham, where I used to live, right on the Roman wall, and I'm going to feature all of the Roman walls, and I'm going to feature the top hat jokes. That is, top hat Pilgrim Fathers Mayflower community, and all of the massive fascist jokes that are behind them wearing top hats into the Pilgrim Fathers place that is the Rock at Plymouth, and that is the Plymouth community that become the Merchant Adventurers Company. Sorry, I was hoping that that would stay put. Okay, can you see the top hats all over it? Let's now go through a series of pictures that I've pre-prepared and show you what the video is going to be all about. Apart from the top hat, it is going to be about the false religion, as you now appreciate. That is the warmongering false religion, and that is the Ataturk in Turkey before World War, I can't remember whether it was World War I or World War II, because both places, that was where the war was started. I think this one was World War II, and the Grand Duke, that was related to that used to own the Rothschilds' hunting lodge before the Rothschilds had him and his son taken down. That is Franz Ferdinand. So this is the story about World War II, I think, and the hats that they wear are the same all around the fascist world, and it's a parody of the warmongering fez and the red one that killed Tommy Cooper. Okay, so let's keep going and look at the images. Okay, this time it's Armenia, and I'm quite stunned to find that when the Romans were fighting and they lost a massive battle in the Teutonic woods, when Augusta, the inept first emperor, who's the template for Donald now to be totally buffoonish, so that the whole world can be led into chaos. And the Armenia joke is just a joke about the leadership team for the Germans that took them on. They led them into the Teutonic forest. They made them walk along a very narrow road that had not been built by them, and they got bogged down, and all the Germans needed to do were to wait for them to arrive at the end of the track, and they killed them one by one. 20,000 victims of that massive joke, and that is the launch of, that was the massacre that was committed by the Armenian Germans, and all of that is up in the Pannonian border that is the Austro-Hungarian place that is the start point for all of the wars. Do you get it? And that's the Armenian genocide. And lovely to be able to talk to Georgia in the pub just the other night. Do you get it? Everything is the same joke, and the Newcastle people totally understand their past, and they make comedies about it on the telly. That's the Auf Wiedersehen cast again. So there's the massacre at the Teutonic forest with Augusta sitting safely in his toga in Rome in the colour purple, as the whole of his troops get led into that barbarian place that is the Teutonic forest, and you guess that that is the Rothschilds' hub again. yeah, and the massacre while Augusta, yeah, they tell you that Nero fiddles while Rome burns, but Augusta is the launch of that, I think in 4 AD, yeah, and he died in his bed while the whole of his empire was being expanded at the expense of everybody's lives, barbarians and Romans. Yeah, and the mercenaries play a huge role in that, which is where the Auf Wiedersehen team come in. Okay, so here we go, the Roman Empire map. It's massive, yeah, right around the known world that was the Mediterranean at that time. Okay, the Roman Empire map. And I'll get to the Beatles soon. This is very near Paul McCartney's home. He's got dozens of homes. He's worth at least 700 million million on the Forbes Rich List as the world's richest musician for ages and ages and ages. And there is the Roman Wall. I had a lovely chat to people who are just arrived from China yesterday, and yeah, I will not tell you their names. They were absolutely charming, and they've come here to study media studies and economics. Yeah, the whole of the globalist project is exemplified by this town, and all the jokes about the genocide for the people that die in their beds in Rome, or the people that die in their beds in London with dementia like Mrs. Thatcher, will be explained in this video. There is the wall. It's one of my favourite places, and I took my Chinese student Li Ping to see it before she ended up in New Zealand married to a Kiwi. Yeah, and there is the Hadrian Pub, where we had a big celebration with all of my friends in that pub before we left. And now that I'm the world's most innocent man, none of those friends will talk to me now. Adam Errington. Yeah, none of them will talk to me, apart from the ones that contract the cancers, and they raise those issues far too late to make a difference, at least thus far. Okay, so this next one is Michael Ancram. So this is the Mull of Kintyre issue. He is my local, he's a friend actually. I've talked to him several times. Yeah, much more than the friendship about the gladiator's boss being a friend of Marcus Aurelius because he touched him on the shoulder. I've shaken this man's hand several times. He's on the official secrets committee. He was the Secretary of State for Ireland when they brought the Chinook helicopter down, yeah, on the Mull of Kintyre, after 10 years had elapsed since Paul McCartney, the rich lister, made that song about the Mull of Kintyre. Yeah, and with all the tartans on it that are a pivotal part of this story, and the massacre of the men in skirts. Yeah, there's David Cameron. He's Cameron of Lochiel, who massacred the men in skirts at Glencoe. Yeah, with the help of the Campbells. Yeah, and that is the Campbell that went with the British Lions to New Zealand, yeah, in 2005 to asset strip the whole of their country with Billy Beaumont. Yeah, right. So there's the Mull of Kintyre crash, in inverted commas, brought down by the US Navy SEALs from RAF Machrihinish, right next door to the airports that Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmond bought from Sheriff Peter Patterson, my divorce attorney, yeah, for £1. He was the corporate salesman for that, because he's full of sins. Yeah, he ran the £28 million debt pool as he bangs up innocent people and pretends that I've done anything guilty in the whole of my lifespan. Yet, do you get it? Every one of the 29 people on that aircraft, yeah, with the helicopter blade at the front and the back, being the joke for the Rotary Club, and the rotating sun that has been replaced by the human beings. Yeah, it is absolutely evil, and all of their icons are the same. We'll get round to that, yeah, for all of the crime scenes. And Sweden, again, comes off particularly badly. They keep using the swastika right into World War II and beyond. On the bottles of Carlsberg beer that they release is the swastika for those windmill blades and the Rotary Club, and the swastika for Hitler, the global Freemasons. That's the Mull of Kintyre song sung by Wings. His wives have had really troubled times with cancer, and I think he's on his fourth wife now. I can't remember her name, but that is Heather Mills, Linda McCartney. I can't remember what her maiden name was. All of them will be in that world-owning bloodline. Remember that Lord McCartney of Liverpool, who does the business of lending money to the Jagiir in India, who's Mohamed Ali in the ancient world's jokes, all of that has now been removed from the internet since I started to make videos in this innocent place, meaning no harm to anybody. Yeah, that's the killing of the people that could have ended the Irish troubles. Yeah, brought down on the Mull of Kintyre, and all of the cash that they had on the vehicle was taken away by the US Navy SEALs. And when we reported that again with Peter Eyre and Gordon Bowden, they had a massive stormy winter storm that went right into the month of April, and the Easter holidays were completely ruined on all those West Coast venues where the world's leading families lead to from Piso to Windsor and the American presidents, yeah, on that bloodline that I tell you about every second day now. Okay, right, so another step along. How do we go forward? There we go. Paul McCartney's house, the Hermitage near Hexham. I will explain when I start the video how Hermitage is the massive museum in St Petersburg, and St Petersburg was called Stalingrad, where 1.5 million people were killed. And this is Paul McCartney, the Forbes Rich Lister, using his house as an obfuscation tool for the news that I'm about to release. And some of my friends and hosts do not believe that the world leaders can read the future and use that to preempt the news releases. Yeah, all of this took place 10 to 15 years ago. Yeah, and all of that stuff about the New World Order showing their strength by sinking the Titan, which was a ship that was sunk 10 years before the Titanic was sunk to launch one of the wars. Yeah, so right next to Hexham and right next to the Roman wall. Okay, I'll explain to you why Auf Wiedersehen are bricklayers in a few minutes. There is Paul McCartney and there is the Forbes Rich listing. The two are not together. Yeah, he gets 55 million a year to be a musician, singing about Eleanor Rigby and the war dead, and that is Gunnar Rigby in the terror in Woolwich. Yeah, who was murdered by Abby Diwali, who is on the boards of the HSBC, where the events of 7/7 took place, and that is the shooting of the people who missed the train and missed the terror, therefore, in the explosions that occurred. Yeah, and that is the Birmingham bombers. They missed the train from Birmingham, and the Met Police, who's now got the Met Police leader, Cressida Dick, who killed the people on that day. Menendez was killed, yeah, right next door to where I used to work at the train station, and that is Imperial College Hospital London, where the Queen has her babies. Yeah, right opposite the hospital I used to work in. And that is the Lindo wing, where I met Guy Innes Kerr, and in the stories about the false monarchy, they arranged the killing of a woman in the birthing chamber for Commoner Kate, so that they could take all of the heat of these super elite families who've been uncontested as murderous world leaders up to this year. Yeah, all of the people that get the bung to be the know-nothings have nothing on their conscience. because they're quite happy bringing in their salary that way, when the whole of our world could be funded liberally. And the people from China last night now understand that, and their central bank, they believe, is run by the Morgans. JP Morgan running the central bank in Shanghai, that should be issuing the money to all of China. Right, so next image is Paul McCartney Forbes again, because you can't find it. Yeah, look him up on his Wikipedia profile. You'll be able to understand the cancerous deaths of his women. Yeah, and the divorce of the one, I think she was an amputee, the one that lived with him at that Hexham mansion. Yeah, and I must not forget to show you what I've got. And here's Auf Wiedersehen Pet. There's Jimmy Nail. Yeah, and that's the joke about the nails that did for Jesus. Yeah. There is Chris Tarrant. Yeah, the Tarantella joke about Naples being the epicenter for the world of religious fraud. And the man that was the governor for Roman Newcastle when the wall was built here has got the word Piso in his name, as has the sheriff that is at the inquest of the foot and mouth outbreak that made me leave my car behind because of the foot and mouth issues. You get the foot and mouth and the toe sucking jokes now. Yeah, really, really funny. If you're a Geordie, almost all of that cast have died, and the one that played Winston Churchill in the Stammering King movie, he's had massive cancers, but he's now making new movies again, but he looks like death warmed up. Yeah, so I'll explain to you why they are bricklayers and how that is related to that man called Nepos with the word Piso in it, who's a bricklayer and a manufacturer of bricks in fucking Germany, and he built the Roman wall. Sorry, I've given the game away. Okay, even if I don't get finished, do you get it? That is Tarantella, the song about Naples, played in the Godfather movie when they are getting married, because that is the Piso icon. Yeah, and the Pisos are married to Julius Caesar. The Pisos are married to many of the Roman Emperor bloodline, and some of them are called Popia, and that's why they wear the poppy badge, and that's why they are saying there, your wall is not plumb. That is the joke about the temple built by Solomon, and the King David jokes all those years ago. Yeah, that lead to all of the diasporas of indentured labour all around the world, and all of them become hated by their hosts in that country, and that is what Theresa May is doing. Yeah, all of the time. I don't know how they're going to do it when we move out of the European Union. Okay, next one. That one's still alive. He's quite a genial bloke. I met him in the station at Newcastle when I was coming home from a London conference. Yeah, when I used to talk about absolute nonsense, yeah, and the saving of a few lives using pharmaceutical methods. And I believe that the gods are entirely still in charge of that, and that's why I never take any medicines in the whole of my life. Apart from paracetamol for toothache occasionally. That's my wisdom teeth, and I now understand the naming of all of those issues. Right then, Auf Wiedersehen Pet landmines in Argentina. That's quite a touchy one. That's why Mrs. Thatcher took us to war to win the elections. They know where the landmines are laid. They know where the traps by the Britons are laid, so that they can steal Gibraltar, they can steal Argentina, they can have the archipelagos and the oil finds, and that's why almost all of them are dead now. And the one that plays Winston Churchill also plays a joke about being an Armenian restaurateur. Do you get it? The barbarians from Newcastle, yet that are now allied to the world's richest people in the cover-ups made by the world's global social media. And Chris Tarrant presents kids programs and fishes on the River Tweed with the wealthiest customers in the world. Okay, and that's the Millers of Alnwick, and I've told you all about the vases of Alnwick Castle being there before the Percies got there. And the Percies and the vases are from ancient Rome. There's the castle that is the naming of Newcastle. Yeah, it's just beyond the post office. Yeah, and I was there last night, and that's where I met the charming Chinese students. Yeah, they could have the hottest news in the whole of the media world, but I reckon they'll get chucked out after the first year if they continue with their friendship to me. Absolutely lovely and innocent people. They confirmed that the leaping mafias are known about in China, and that, sorry, the Lee mafias are known about, but they had never heard of the Quocks who interlock with Habgood, who's now the current boss at the Bank of England after the resignation of Sir David Lees. Yeah, and there is Auf Wiedersehen Pet with the actors and the brickwork behind them. That is the joke that I'm going to tell you when we get round to the tabs. There's Nepos the Governor with the word Piso in it, and the coins, yeah, that are Pospen, and I'm not sure what they have got written on them. No, I cannot read it. But again, all of that is clearer. Oh, there's the racing cars out again. Do you get it? Yeah, the whole of it, all of those world elite families that are the rich people with the big mansions, they're able to spend the whole of their life in leisure, touring around the world, harassing people that are trying to make the world civilized. Yeah, the name is Nepos, yeah, with the word Piso in it, and he was the governor as they left the Roman wall. And a bricklayer back home. Right, so foot and mouth outbreak, yeah, massive disruption when they threatened that it was going to hit the New Zealand place too, and I had to leave my car behind because they could not guarantee that I would carry it into New Zealand. Yeah, so we had to sell my only new car that I've ever owned in the whole of my life. Everything else has been second hand to mouth. Yeah, and that is the I can't remember what the make of the car was, but it was made by the Volvo company in Germany, who are the BMW companies, and all of the car companies are the rich list leaders. Yeah, Daimler is also a massive car giant. They ran their cheap labour out of the death camps like BMW, and all of those end up on the rich list, and that is the Quant family. Yeah, and that is the Mary Quant and the BMWs. Okay, so, and they've got 2 rich listers on the tree too. Arianna Huffington, this is the globalised spider's web joke that I'm going to show you if we have time to mention the fabric making that is the Tarranis jokes, and that is Frank Sinatra, and this is the spider's web that is the globalist project. I did not know that she was a Miss Universe before. She is a nice looking woman. Okay, I will say no more in case it causes offence. That is the Aryan master race and the Aryan singers that were in the concert the other day when the explosion led to the arming of all of the Piso Polis in this peaceful city so far. Yeah, yeah, and all of it, yeah, I have to release all of that news in case they take me down. That's how John Lennon was taken down. Yeah, no one can know if any of those stories are true. He may still be shacked up with Yoko Ono and the Japanese victims of falling on their sword like the people who are defeated in battle. Yeah. Okay, and the Japanese are particularly tied to those myths, which is quite tragic for all of their history. And I did not tweak the conscience of the Chinese on any of the Japanese issues last night. Okay, they knew that they had a massive civilization before anyone else did, but when the English-speaking world come in, it becomes murderous and a mafia up. Okay, gossamer rings around Jupiter. That is the silken web around that massive planet that is the gods for the pagans. Yeah, and that is beautiful. Yeah, that is the gods in the heavens being worshipped by the humans. Yeah, who, Gentile and Jew. Yeah, they worshipped the gods until those Gentile religions became Christianity. Yeah, and that is the Jewish frauds that were perpetrated by Arius Calpurnius Piso, who was a Jew in the Roman court, like King Herod, who was tutored by Augusta, and that is why Donald has the Augusta golf courses all around the world, because it is the same template for chaotic, buffoonish massacres led by leaders who never get out of their bed and move into the danger zone. Donald in Vietnam, draft dodger. Yeah, do you see how it all works? Right. Sorry, I'm taking up a lot of time on this. Here's National Velvet, and all of this is the fabrics joke about the web weaving, yeah, and turning your gold, yeah, your straw into gold. In the story about Rumpelstiltskin, and that is Von Rompuy, the Belgian boss at the EU. Rumpelstiltskin, she weaves gold out of the straw that is in the barn, and when she has to name the dwarf that comes along to help her with that, her first four guesses are Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. The same joke as the top hat, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And this is the Pi racehorse for National Velvet, and she played Cleopatra, and that's why I believe that she is in the bloodline, and she is a Zionist person, allegedly, and my wife could not believe that about Britain's greatest heroes in Hollywood being the Star Wars team. Yet they're now aware of it more and more and more, and thank you to the gods for now casting judgment on them. Yeah, this is the one that was in with the man with the top hat and the cane dancing around on the rooftops and the chimney sweeps. Yeah, he was in the museum film with Dick Van Dyke and one other that is or several others, including Ricky Gervais, who's out of the mafia. The Gervaises of Essex are the mafia bosses in Sicily. Yeah. Right, so let's keep going. It's easier in pictures, isn't it? And there's the loaves and fishes for Jesus. Yeah, I've explained that to many people in the pubs in the last few days. That is the owning of the whole world, yeah, of the output. Yeah, so the feeding the 5,000 is everything that the banks do in the federal banks all around the world. They only feed those 5,000 elite families that are the murderous people that take us into all of the wars, that take us into the Harry Potter films, that take us into Alnwick Castle, that murdered their own brother, and that used to be owned by the Veses of Rome. And that's why the gladiator panicked when the little boy told him that his real name was Vaz, and that was the emperor's sister's daughter. Yeah, and he hid behind the corner. Yeah, this is the loaves and fishes. That's the penises for the people outside the castle. Yeah, and the penis gets basted into the loaf and shot across the castle wall so that they can see that they are never going to win in that siege, and that their husbands are already dead. And that is the hot dog joke for all of the people in the story about picking the astronauts. They shout hot dog all of the time, yeah, when they're celebrating something. That is the penis in the Bible, and the pie in the Bible story you now know. Okay, thanks to Brittany and all of those people that are the New World Order musicians. Yeah, look up the Amy video of Amy with the knickers for the Piso pie between her legs, yeah, and then carrying the pie out in the secret societies that are the sororities and the fraternities. That's the brotherhoods and the sisterhoods. And the sisters are also nuns, which is the killing of 50 people in the Great Escape movie. That is none in the Bible. Right, so let's keep going. It's easier with the pictures. Okay, there she is. There she is with her pie. There she is in the sorority gear, as if she was in an embassy. And there are the Aryan master race windows that are in every central bank across the globe. And that is the joke about Robert the Bruce, when he was cast into exile and had been defeated several times, losing his spirits and sitting watching the spider weaving its web. Yeah, that's Robert the Bruce, yeah, who was King Robert I of Scotland. Yeah, missed his chance and then was replaced by Braveheart's pick. Yeah, sorry, by Longshanks's pick. And that is even further south than Newcastle. That is the line, yeah, that runs across the country at Barnard Castle. Well, our wife loves to visit, yeah, the place that is the treasonous place, that is the naming of I forget what the name of the next king after Robert I was. It might come back to me. Let's keep going. And there's Brittany with the knickers and the gusset hanging out in front of her nose. There's the alpha pie jokes, and there's the American pie again. And the top hat is the icon for the American president, and it was used in the Parliament building in Westminster even after the threat to burn it was perpetrated by one of the Percy family. That is Perseus the poet, that is in the Poison Garden, that is the mum of George W. Bush, Barbara Pierce. Google images Brittany Amy Pi sorority. Yeah, do you get the alpha, gamma, delta jokes? All of it is the Piso fraud encoded in the Bible and by Josephus and all of those people like Tacitus who come along and tell the false news. And that was Obama's ancestors, who were Suetonius. He's Barry Sutorio, and you're now getting all of those stories. Hopefully they are indelibly etched into your head. I love having Pi Phi sisters. That's the American pie joke, yeah, and all of it just keeps repeating. Oh yeah, so we're now gotten to text, and I think there are a couple of images at the beginning of those things. This is, yeah, Don McLean, a long time ago. February made me shiver. That is the joke about the hound dogs, or the little things that are like beavers, and the beaver fur is used to make the top hat. Yeah, let me show you that. Did you write the Book of Love? And all of the cynical stories that the Pisos wrote the Book of Love, yeah, and then launched the translation of their name as the American pie, as the vagina, into world history as this massive dance of death and the cause of all the great conflicts. Yeah, a long time ago. I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. The February thing is the joke about the animals that sleep through the winters and when they're going to wake up. And there's drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry, and I presume that is the sexual organs again. Did you write the Book of Love, Arius Calpurnius Piso, and do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so, now do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save our mortal soul? And you can teach me how to dance real slow. Okay? All of it is about that same joke, and that is the birthing chamber for the women all through world history. Yeah, and the feeding of those 5,000 murderous elite families that run for president and are in the British cabinet and are at Rupert Murdoch's wedding and are the divorced wives of the same families from different members of different families, from Mick Jagger, yeah, Michael Gove, Rothschild, yeah, all of the people that do they know it's Christmas jokers Yeah, all of it is the massive 5,000 families that lead the world. Yeah, and I'm sad to say that today I've found that Hayley Western Ra, with the word Western Ra, the sun god, in her name, is descended from one of the prime ministerial bloodlines in Australia, who was the one to launch World War II onto Hitler Rothschild. Yeah, all of them in the same elite families and breeding chambers. Yeah, that is, the name of the family is Menzies, and that's all over her beautiful bloodline. Yeah, it's a dark waltz now. She's married to someone. It's an official secret to who she's married to. It's not on the genealogy tree like the other secrets that I just told you about. Okay, so let's get back to going through those saved images, and let's see if we, I don't think we've found the Roman wall, have we? Don McLean again, American Pie lyrics, and there he is with the stars and stripes, and that's the same joke as the top hats that you'll see in a minute. Okay, for the Pilgrim Fathers and false religion and the killing of all of the American Indians as they suck at their peace pipes for Piso. Yeah, there's the swastika still on the Carlsberg of Sweden bottles as we go beyond World War II. Yeah, they've had to change it now under pressure, but these pictures are still there, and there's the god icon for the sun, yeah, with the swastika at the hub, pretending that the humans are now more powerful than the gods that rotate the sun, or rotate the planets around that beautiful sun and all of the other suns across the universe. And there's the elephants in the story. They have no bullocks hanging down, and that is the same with the little ratty animals and the beavers that they used to make the fur hat, the top hat for the Ataturks, for the Fez, for all of the warmongers that are the Germans. The Germans still use, all through the Freemasons, every Freemason in Germany has a top hat for fascism. Yeah, that is the ordinary working Freemasons that launched World War II with the swastika as their icon. Okay, better get a move on, otherwise we're not going to show you any of the tabs. I think that's enough. Yeah, so that's finished that list. I'll now go to the tabs and I'll show you the joke about the Mull of Kintyre, and there's the naming of Newcastle. So it's called Pons Aulois. I thought that was Ponteland at the other end of Newcastle, but it is actually just beyond. That's the castle that you can see beyond that post office mark on the end of that building with the railway tracks running through it. And every time a train passes by, it sounds just like the coconuts for the Piso horse. Yeah, that is the Monty Python's joke. Yeah, it is a dead ringer for that sound of the Piso horse. Okay, do you get this? This is Archelaus PISO, yeah, Pons Aulois, and that is Alois Hitler. That is the Aloises that are the parents of Pope Benedict, all of them in the Austrian master races out of the Alps, yeah, and the Newcastle, but also is the Archelaus PISO and the Bible authors people, yeah, and they are the bridge to the Louis, yeah, do you get it? Archelaus and Alias, yeah, A. Louis, Alois Hitler, yeah, do you get it? That's Alois Rothschild Hitler with the siring and the insemination of the Queen's children, and that is the Louis of Bourbon that are linked to, and there's now the governor, Alois Platorius Nepos, with the word Piso indicate, is the governor the bridge to Louis Clovis dynasties. Okay, so within a few years it was decided to add a total of 14 to 17 full-sized forts along the length of the Roman wall, Hadrian's Wall, including Verco Vicium. Yeah, that's John Berco, looks very nervous when I talk about that. He was in the terror release the other night in the city of Manchester. Bana is Bord Oswald, and that is the Oswald Mosley naming, and all of those places are for profit from the bricks that the Germans brought across, because that man there, yeah, Nepos, was a bricklayer in Germany. He was a brick producer. Yeah, with the word Piso in his name. Okay, so the eastern end of the wall was extended further east to Sigendium, Wall's End, on the Tyne estuary. Some of the larger forts along the wall, such as Chesters and Housesteads, were built on top of the footings of mile castles or turrets, showing the change of plan. An inscription mentioning early governor Aulus Platorius Nepos with Piso, and it indicates the change of plans took place early on. Okay, sometime during Hadrian's reign before 138, the wall west of the Irthing that's the Irthing River that runs through it. Yeah, and it reminds me sadly of my neighbours. Yeah, and the people that helped me break back into my house after my treasonous wife had locked me out. Okay, so let's show you some maps and show you that the wall goes right across to the place where Longshanks died, and I don't believe that will be an accident. Yeah, that is Hadrian's Wall and Housestead's Fort. Let's go to the top and show you all of the places that are Wall's End and the places. So there's Once Brood, that's on the Pennine Way. I did the walk there as a schoolboy. We traversed the Roman wall without any conflict, okay, as if we could live life in peace like John Lennon sings about in that song. Okay, and there is Haltwhistle that we used to visit with the family because they've got trains there. Yeah, and that is the reconnaissance of the sound that you make when you use the coconut shell, yeah, like the Monty Pythons do, telling us that they are now going to lay siege to the next castle. And when they ask the French if they could have come into the castle and negotiate about finding the Holy Grail, they say, "We've already got one." Yeah, and that is the knights that say nee, and all of the jokes about Lancelot and Lancelot du Lac, and the lac is the fucking furniture polish that they use on all the silks, all the parachutes, and all the warmongering tools that they used to launch the bomb on Japan. Yep, that is the TNT launch by Nobel, and all the heart attacks that the evil people get in the Nobel factories, and the good people have subclinical symptoms. Yeah, or they have signs that they have picked up a token dose, but God protects them because they are not genocidal world leaders. Okay, so there's Hadrian's Wall and Hexham, Greenhead, Corbridge. Yeah, it's Johnny Wilkinson, where he came from, yeah, to win the World Cup for England. And if I'm going to get through it, I've got to show you it. I'll show you that Nepos, yeah, and I'll show you the foot and mouth joke because it's quite funny. Brick manufacturer out of Italy, relatives of Ancram or Napoleon. So that is the Nepos women, and they are related to the people that also married Napoleon, Napoleon's widows. Yeah, after that was set up, and the St Helena joke is just a massive joke, as is the whole of the Arthurian legend, because they have now replaced the people that are in Britain as the last of the Roman emperors. They become the launch of the Arthurian story at Tintagel. Yeah, it's absolutely sickening. Okay, so Aulus Platorius Nepos was a Roman politician of nearly 2nd century AD. He served as governor of Thrace, German Inferior, and Roman Britain. Anthony Birley notes, and that's the Birley that ran the access to the Roman wall, and the people that I've already told you about in those old videos that are about 3 years old now. Yeah, he was in charge before the time of Severus Alexander, and let me see if we can scan down to find that he was a brickmaker in fucking Mannheim in Germany, where the Auf Wiedersehen pet team went. Oh no, there's not very much at all on him, so it should be easy to find it. Okay. Nepos sought no further office after this time in Britain. Bricks bearing his name and dated to 134 show he owned a brickworks near Rome. At some point Nepos led the augurate, this is the Augusta joke, and being able to die in your bed with your corporate activities ticking along on the other side of the world, Donald. Yeah, and that's the Crown Plaza there, and that is the Crown Piazza, that is the Piso joke, and all of the elite hotels, yeah, including the Hiltons, are run by the world owners in those presidential grid lines. It was unclear where Nepos was born. He was born and raised and explicitly described as a friend of Emperor Hadrian. Yeah, and that's all the links to Billy Connolly and the stories that I've told you about in my conspiracy theories recently. Yeah. Right, so let's get down and let's show you the foot and mouth man's name, because he's a judge in the corrupted judiciary, all live in the same family group. And there's Theresa May as the cover. She surveilled me under the RIPAS scheme. Yeah, 5,000 victims of the 5,000 beneficiaries of every central bank in our globe. Toe sucking and all the pie piggy covers. The judge's name has the word Piso in it, and NZ had similar scares when we went out, had to leave the car behind Judge David Prowse. We also had the Didimo engineered and released into New Zealand's greatest rivers. That's a joke about God too. Yeah, it's a joke about the relatives of Al-Fayed, and that is the god pseudonym. The farmers got compensation for stock cull and launched the pie pink petrol joke. At the same time, free petrol available from the Balfour's home. I cannot release the information that is contained in that statement, but I think it makes sense to most of you. And all of the people that were in the foot and mouth scams before we left, they were soaking up the free petrol, yeah, for the victims of this massive joke against the gods in the heavens. Okay, written by Jamie Wilson. The pig farmer accused of starting last year's devastating foot and mouth, yeah, for Fergie the toe sucker, banned for 15 years. Okay, Bobby Waugh, 56, was found guilty, and let me see what the name of the sheriff is. There's Theresa May and the tennis jokes, yeah, which is in the story if I've got time. Guardian today, the headlines, the analysis. So yesterday, District Judge David Prowse, with the word Piso in it, sitting at South East Northumberland Magistrates Court, said he could have jailed Waugh for the animal cruelty charges. So this is all the jokes about the pig killings and the private function movies that killed the Elliot actor really young, because he's the posh doctor that insists on having the pig carcasses, yeah, and having them raised in these farms where all of the corrupted farmers are prepared to follow suit so that they can get invited into that elite sector. Yeah, nobody's prepared to join the barbarians and my team, except the possible exception of those lovely little Chinese women yesterday. Right. So, and that's all about the, let me see if we can find SOLway, because that is the joke that you've just learned about the sun god Sol and the SOLway Firth being at the other fucking end of the Roman wall. Do you get the sun god Sol now beginning to creep out, and we've got blue skies up there now? Okay, it's been grey all day. Yeah. So, the SOLway, Yeah, that's Bowness on Solway, and that is where the end of the Roman wall is, and that is where the Mull of Kintyre issues were perpetrated. All of it is the same story. Okay, I'm going to stop there and take you now straight to Rich Lister Paul McCartney. Show you how much he gets to steal from the world and to obfuscate those massive issues there. That's directors and secretaries. Let me show you the Winter Palace of the massive museum that is the Hermitage. There it is. Yeah, Rothschild blue, azure blue, painted on the front of that building with Rothschild yellow on the pyramidal top. Okay, and there are the people that made Cameron, George Osborne, Nick Clegg, and that man there, Rupert Murdoch, with, I forget what that one's called, he was the education minister when I was chasing him down. There's Rupert Murdoch's son who's on this board. There's Rebecca Brooks, who is the news person who will recruit those beautiful Chinese women and totally corrupt them before their careers are even started. And there's the Hermitage sign behind Prince Charles with the Austrian plumes, yeah, for the Österreich Empire. That is their fucking master race, and look at the state of them. Okay, Future of Russia Foundation, directors from 25th of the 1st 2013, or up to 2013 and since 2005. Okay, I'm not sure which directorate this is. This is Nathaniel Charles Jacob Rothschild. Yeah, that's Nathan Rothschild, the youngster. Hermitage Development Trust, the Institute for Jewish Policy Research, Future of Russia Foundation, British Sky Broadcasting Group PLC, the Prince of Wales Charitable Foundation. So do you get it? That's the Hermitage Museum, and the next one is the Future of Russia Fund with Henry Kissinger and all of them on it. Yeah, Lord Nathaniel Charles Jacob Rothschild, Mr. Timothy William Osborne, the Chancellor, yeah, SJP Secretaries, SJP Trust Limited, Corporation Limited, Ambassador Arthur Adair Hartman, yeah, that's the Barclay buses, I think, Dr. Henry Alfred Kissinger, Farrer and Co. Trust Corporation, and there are the pictures of Nathan and Jacob Rothschild, the murdered Tsars, Henry Kissinger, the world's biggest killer, and all of it is a massive joke covered up by Paul McCartney's house, yeah, which is called on right next to Hexham and the Roman wall. There's the pictures of it. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful place with the fucking bricks for the bricklayers and the Auf Wiedersehen pet in the fucking chimney. Yeah, and it's the Dance Around Tonight video with all the same decoration as my brother-in-law's house in Chippendalton for the Chippendalton set. Yeah, and all the boarded walls that are where you snitch on every guest in every dinner party through all of world history. There's another place. You see the boarded walls. Yeah, my boss Nicholson, yeah, in Dunedin had the same type of house. Okay, and there's the militias that are the hussars with the hats, and I need to get onto the hats because that's one of the most vicious bits of the story. There is his massive house, Hermitage, champagne bottles from 1919, some in the original tissue paper, and wine from 1914. Do you get it? 1914 to 1919, when the Austrian nobility were disbanded. Yeah, Hermitage next to Hexham on the River Tyne that I used to fish with my son. And it was only yesterday that we remembered it. I will not show you any more of the McCartney story other than his earning power to be a total treasonous person and to kill all 29 of those people who tried to make Ireland a peaceful place when McGuinness, Pius McGuinness, Martin Pius McGuinness, related to the papacy through all of world history, was prepared to be the terrorist fighting against Ian Pie Paisley. There is Sir Paul McCartney, £730 million net worth, perpetually the most high rating pop musicians since the Forbes Rich List was created. Yeah, Mull of Kintyre 10 years before they killed all 29 of those people, so that Haughey and Kenny Dalgleish, who interlock, could continue with the massive Irish troubles, yeah, and to profit from all of it. Okay, Heather Mills, and it's a sad, sad story what happens to his women. That's Linda Eastman Kodak from Hemel Hempstead, where the Kodak company used to run the massive tower block right in the middle of the town, and the last time I saw it, all of it was filled with water and floods. Yeah, that is the bog jokes, yeah, for all of those people and the acts of God that follow them. Yeah, so there's the Hermitage tab for his house. His first girlfriend was an Asha, then Eastman Kodak, then Heather Mills, then, and I think she was the amputee, and she makes sausages and whatnot, yeah, and all of it is reputed to be health food stuffs, yeah, and all of them die of cancers before they get to 60. Right, so the top hat, let's quickly transit into that. So do you get it? Absolute covers for the Rothschilds' crimes and the acquisition of the place, with the killing of 1.5 million Russian citizens in Stalingrad when Stalin was trained at Tavistock in the English-speaking world with Hitler. Yeah, the three wise men joke for Blunt, who's now married to the Duke of Wellington's bloodline. Okay, right then. So here's the top hats. Let's take you quickly to the top hat tab and show you that it is associated with those Pilgrim Fathers, and there is the revolutionary tricolour top hat that is the revolutionary cowl that was Napoleon's cowl. Yeah, also the wives married off to Neposes, yeah, that become relatives of Michael Ancram, and that is what caused Michael Ancram's wife to have to wear the patch. Sorry, his mother to have to wear the eye patch. Okay, and that is the Secretary of State for Scotland. So there's Austin Lane Cruthers, yeah, Captain Carruthers, yeah, and that is also the Carrutherses that are linked in the place that is the shooting lodge near Earlston, where I used to work, and that is where the Carrutherses live, in their massive mansion right next to the Percys. Okay, do you get it? The top hat is the Pilgrim Fathers joke, and it is also the naming of upper and lower hat right next to the Duke of Wellington's Wellington in New Zealand. Yeah, English to German, the top hut on the hill for the Germanic people that play in German green still at Hawick, and they drink the rum on the top of the mountain in the fucking hut. Yeah, isn't it funny? For the top hat that is for the fascists that killed all of the relatives in the Tyrol, that killed all of the relatives in the mercenary armies that went to America to try and conquer it, yeah, and then they had to sell it off, buying it back from Napoleon, who is in St Helena as a holiday home, and is in the Louises and the Aloises of Bourbon, yeah, because he is married to Marie Antoinette's relatives. Yeah, all of their heads are still on their shoulders, and all the Freemasons went to America. That is Danton, played by the fucking traitor that is Depardieu, which means no God. Yeah, the actor in Hollywood. Orkafat, now in Russia, pretending to be a friend of Putin, yeah, and laughing at the no God, yeah, and the Gott in Himmel, which is the Hemel Hempstead joke too. God in heaven. Yeah, it's quite abysmal to think of Hemel Hempstead as heaven. Okay, so let's quickly take you down through it. There's the translation. There's one of the early toppers. Yeah, flat crown brim hat worn by men from the latter part of the 18th to the middle of the 20th century. Do you get it? Comes from beaver hide. That is the HSBC, and the Hudson's Bay Company, and all of the fur for all of those animals that have now been implanted into Scotland. The beavers have been implanted as an ecological disgrace into Scotland just because the elites can still laugh at this Nicholas Sturgeon. Royal ascot, yeah, they wear it as an obligation at those meetings. Yeah, they used to wear it if they were bringing a motion forward to the Houses of Parliament, but they did away with that because now the Houses of Parliament do not do anything honest at all. And if you are a fascist icon, the news is now out. Yeah, thank you for that fascinating conversation, Chinese girls. Okay, morning dress, white tie in dressage, and this is the Michael Caine joke about the Cain and Abel in the first killing in the Piso fucking Bible. Yeah, and the cane is used to knock over the dancers in vaudeville who wear the top hat and they dance to those tunes with Ginger Rogers, who might be related to the families that are the Celtic manager, but they've won every match since Rogers took over. And so he must be making a huge difference since all of Jock Stein's team died, and the captain who was in the team that was full of world tyrannous people, Mrs. Simpson in goal when they won the World Cup, when they won the European Cup in 1967. Gemmell just died recently. All of it is the Star Wars team. Yeah, Murdoch is in at 4, Lennox is on the left wing out of Ayrshire, and that is the treason of the Lennox family that I've told you all about in multiple videos. Let's get down. Yeah, so there's the tricolour with the Piso horseshoe, yeah, Alpha to Omega symbol on the church at Easter time in every Catholic church across our globe. Arius to Omega is Alpha, Arius is Alpha, and Omega is Piso at the end of the word. Do you get it? Yeah, the biggest joke in world history and the biggest cause of death. Yeah, there it is, the same hats again, the top hat and the tricolour. Yeah, do you get it? There's the invention of the top hat. Adam Errington is often erroneously credited to a haberdasher named John Hetherington. Yeah, Jeff Errington at the university just down the road there, right next to the Newcastle joke, which is the prison for people from Scotland. Yeah, and it's made, worn by members of the upper class, made of felted beaver fur. The generic name stuff hat was applied to hats made from various non-fur felts. The hats became part of the uniforms worn by policemen and postmen. Yeah, no coincidences at all. Yeah, except for the absence of the images of the landmines after Mrs. Thatcher had brutalised Argentina. Do you see why most of the cast are dead? Yeah, black oilcloths and the stovepipe hat, and you'll see the American presidential lines. Yeah, looking like buffoons. Yeah, I don't know whether or not it's supposed to be a cock or a fanny or what it's supposed to be, but they think it's hilarious, and it is on the head of every one of those Pi Pilgrim fathers that became the American presidents, the Delanois and the Delano Roosevelts. Yeah, and all of it is a massive, massive joke that Jesus, yeah, their greatest money stream, has now appeared in America, and all of the Indian nations have to be culled because of that. Okay? Okay, and there is Abe Lincoln, yeah, in his distinctive stovepipe silk hat at Antietam. The Rothschilds still make silk at Wadsden and all those places that they have in Hertfordshire, and they need mulberry bushes so that the silkworms and the caterpillars can be raised. And if you're going to do it that way, and all the little dye stuffs in there, including ammoniol, okay, yeah, it's a massive joke. That is the ammonia that is used to make the atom bombs that did for Japan. Yeah, We did not talk to the Chinese about that last night. Yeah, that's the Japanese ending of the war, and that was done by President Truman, who's related to the people that live in the Bings right next door to the Forth Bridge in Scotland. And that is, I keep forgetting his name, he died just a few months ago, like the whole of the Star Wars team is likely to do, unless they mend their ways and begin coming out with the truth about what they've done to the central banks, so that they can feed their 5,000 families with the world's global wealth. Yeah, Lady Jane from the Poison Garden. Okay, Abe Lincoln and his distinctive stovepipe silk hat. I think the height of it is probably something to do with the rank that you achieve in your corrupted life. He's got the biggest one of all, and they pretended to assassinate him. Yeah, and all of that was in the road that I walked down before Obama nearly ran me over in Washington DC. I think that's DC, I'm not sure what the one on the west coast is called. And there's a collapsible gibbous, and the gibbies are part of the Roman wall team too. Yeah, and that's the Gibbs that are married into my family that are the Rayburns. Okay, made of beaver silk or other materials. And here's the Capettes, and this is the joke about the Capet dynasty and the peaked hats that are on the fucking Mayflower. Yeah, there's the Mayflower again. There's the peaked hats for every one of the passengers. It's commonly called a flat-topped hat and a pilgrim hat, the latter for its association with the Piso pilgrims and the sheriff that let the man off, yeah, or prosecuted the man for feeding the pigs, yeah, in the troughs with waste meat that carried the foot and mouth disease into Fergie's story, and on and on and on it goes. And this is the story that these are the Capetians. Do you get it? Yeah, Hugh Capet and all of the people that are the launch of Louis and Clovis and the descendants that become the Robertians after they've become the Capetans, and that is my captain through all of world history, and that is them pretending that they are telling the story of Jesus, which was launched by the Pisos for the pilgrims in the Roman court by Arius Calpurnius Piso. Alpha to Omega, they are the world's most murderous families. And thank you to the lovely people of Newcastle who've been prepared to discuss all of this with me. Yeah, all of your issues and all of it will be stopped soon if you get on my side and you help me expose the central bankers for what they are. They are massive mafia operations, and they are global thieves. Okay, so do you get the Capetans bit? For the flat cap, and there it is for the pilgrims. Yeah, the caps that they wear in that region that my wife visited all of the time, and that is Captain Cook and all of the people that went and brutalised and launched religion into Australia and New Zealand before Haley Western became a millionaire and attended George W. Bush's concerts, yeah, and played for him. Yeah, all of it the same elite families, and I'm mortified that that woman, yeah, her husband is an official secret. I could show you it on this computer, but then we could not get down to all of the stories. So do you get it? The Pilgrim Fathers are the same joke as the man that is Ataturk, yeah, and the Holy Roman Emperors, yeah, and the killing of the Archduke in the River Ebbs Valley, and that is the Hibernian joke for Petrie, who's on the Longshanks bloodline. Robert Peake the Elder. Am I doing okay, God, in revealing all of these stories? Yeah, details from a contemporary engraving of the gunpowder plotters, including Thomas Percy, ancestor of Barbara Pierce, George W. Bush's mum, yeah, in the gunpowder plot at Westminster, until they leveraged the power through the Bush family that they could not get by being heroic and revolutionary in Britain. Okay, and that's portrait of Henry, Prince of Wales, Centre, and John Harrington, 2nd Lord Harrington of Exton. Not sure what that is. Robert Peake the Elder, I think he's another gunpowder plotter. Sergeant Painter, English-born Marcus Gearhart's the younger. Miniature painter Isaac Oliver, I'm not sure why that is in. There's his reference above. Portrait. So maybe the peaked hat is the story of that one. So you get it, top hats, bowler hats, and the rabbit coming out of the hat like magic. Yeah, for Coldplay. Yeah. Poor Gwyneth. Okay, so Adrian Brower, and these are all the stories. Paints lower classes and Flanders becomes the Poppy Fund and the genocides with the lilies of the field. Paintings by Anthony van Dyck. That's why he's in the museum film. Do you get it? Dancing with his top hat and his cane amongst the chimneys, and that is the sanity clause, and Saint this, that and the other, all through world history, all of them thousands of years after the false Jesus had been launched. Yeah, every saint is a fraud. Yeah, and that is the Santa Cruz joke, and that is the last film we watched before we left New Zealand with my family and my innocent kids who are now all in that debt pool. And I don't think I'm going to be allowed to go to the university celebrations of them getting robbed blind to get their degree, so that they can, the first one to graduate is going to be able to join the Formula 1 sector if he has his way. I have no way of contacting them now. Even on my birthday they could not get in touch with me, even although my friend and my host tried to get that arranged for me. Okay, so let's go to some of the others. So here's the tri-cornered hats. Do you get it? The tricolour? Yeah, and there it is, and it all ties into the Know-Nothings and the Whigs. The Whigs are the political party that used to be the Know-Nothings, yeah, and still are the Know-Nothings in America for several hundred years after that secret was covered up by the Whigs, yeah, and the Whigs in Britain. Yeah. Okay, and there is the tricorn hat, the pyramidal model and tri-corners. Yeah, that's Rothschild yellow and fascist black. Okay, tricorn of beaver fur, Europe or America, Los Angeles County Museum of Art. Yeah, none of them are capable of stopping a bullet, and that's why they wear them. Yeah, to get the numbers down. Steeple hats, yeah, for the Church of Scotland, the Church of England, and all the massacres between Protestant and Catholic in the 30 years and then the 100 Years' War, worn by the Puritans, or the top hat of the 19th century. That's the Puritans and the Cavaliers that are in the massacres, that are in the constituency of Chipping Norton that my brother-in-law used to live in, and think that all of these jokes as a Freemason and an OBE were totally undetectable by the ordinary punters that are now being robbed blind by his class, and that is the asset stripping of the dental profession, yeah, by having to buy your right to work every year and doing CPD, yeah, continual professional development, so that you cannot study world history like I have done, yeah, and you cannot make a stand against the corrupted monarchy that now are the Royal Societies and run every one of those professions as a money stream, yet like the Poppy Fund is a money stream for them and for Butcher Egg, yeah, and the links to the Mortons and Uncle Desmond and James Blunt. Okay, tricorn worn at the Dutch court. Yeah, that's Roosevelt's Dutch place that is flooded because they launched Taranis, the Tardis, the tartans, and all of the fabrics that become the pie plaids. One step below that fatal launch. Yeah, do you get it? Let's go down and see if he's got any pictures in a fez or any pictures in the top hat. Ottoman Empire with the half moon and the star. Yeah, that is the menace that Donald is now launching, even although his wife is from that region. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful woman. Yeah, and she had joined me on Skype just before I left my safe house in Edinburgh. Okay, and there is Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. Let's just get the top hat and show you how reminiscent it is. There's the fez, yeah, and you've seen him already in the frontispiece for the video in his top hat. Yeah, more fez, little caps for the Frenchman, variants on that hat that is worn all through the Aegean region, and every troop in every side in every war is doomed to die for those 5,000 families. That is the hot dog joke. There he is with a fluffy one on, as if he might have been at the Battle of Balaclava, where all of those people died and they were able to sink the ships, because none of the people that went on the ships from Britain returned to Britain. The Battle of Gallipoli, Kanakali, yeah, that is the massive massacres engineered, and they've all got the same friggin' hats on. Isn't it hilarious? These are the leaders, they have armoured hats. Isn't that funny that they're allowed to kill the troops in their own team? Yeah, and they've got the Gatling guns, and as the Anzacs in Rupert Murdoch's forces come off the boat, yeah, they are getting gunned down by the Gatling guns willy-nilly. Let's find the top hat and then we'll move on.